Hello, everyone. Welcome to Seriously Locos watch along for tonight's matchup, El Paso Locomotive versus Miami FC. We've already got at least one in the chat right at the start. Harry,
What's up? Early bird.
early bird, first like in chat. The Miami FC, as you said, Locomotive taking on the Miami FC in South Beach. Well, wherever FIU is, I don't know where the Ricardo Silva Stadium is, but I'm Phil, and I'm joined tonight as per usual by Mika. And Mika, can you at least confirm to the folks that we were not planning this
We were not
wardrobe
planning
situation?
the uniforms like we're at work.
I'm in the Seriously Loco Slack, just like wear your uniform, like, or face the consequences, like
right,
fines.
or you could clock out. You could clock out.
Go ahead, clock out, and when you're in the proper attire, return.
And bring your no-slip shoes. No, I actually was like, let me wear the white kit. And then I was like, no, I really love my Seriously Loco shirt. So that was me, like, deciding at the last minute. So no, it was not planned. We're not like complete losers.
we did. We've got Harry jumped over to Twitch, so all good if you see Ramen Cole, SAFC. Yeah, like we said, did not plan the wardrobe thing, but it is what it is. We came ready to work. Hopefully Locomotive did as well. And Mika, I mean, I guess like normally we could talk like form, we could talk all this stuff, but really the lineup feels like the place to start, because this lineup was, I mean, even for what we know Locomotive is facing in terms of like injuries and all this stuff, this lineup was pretty surprising for the couple of inclusions, particularly a full debut for Lalito Moreno, the 16-year-old, who we've seen for a handful of minutes the entire season. He now gets a chance from the start with Chapa on the bench to start this one.
Yeah, and I think, when we talked last week or a couple days ago on the podcast, we said, Chapa didn't have a banner day last time out, and clearly the coaching staff feel that Lalito could maybe give us something here. It is a huge call on the road, big, losing winless streak, and you're throwing the kid in, but the kid wears number 8, and he slots in right next to Eric Calvillo, the number 6. So it's a big ask for the young man, and perhaps it lays bare maybe our issues in depth, but best of luck to him. He's obviously very talented, and they scouted him for a reason. So when you're here to play. So if you're old enough, you're good enough, as Brian Clairhout likes to say. So
yeah, we've got Eric is feeling bullish about Lalito's inclusion. Lalito masterclass incoming. Here's hoping you're right, Eric. The other couple of big calls, and I would say maybe the bigger call is Bense Pavkovits, not in the lineup tonight, doesn't make the 18, and obviously could be a fitness issue, could be something like that. But this is the first time this season that Bense Pavkovits has not played a single minute. He's played every single minute. He's not been subbed off. He's not like nothing. He's not come on as a sub. He has played every single minute of Locomotive football. The only other player who's done that so far is Benny Diaz, who obviously retains his place, but Bense not involved in this one. And it's Jose Carrillo and Eric McHugh in the center of defense for Locomotive. So obviously a little bit different look defensively from Locomotive.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see Eric McHugh really be the playmaker, the quarterback, if you will, from the back line, because, in my profile of Jose, I think he's more of like an aerial presence, a stopper, if you will. So But yeah, the thing about the backline isn't so much like player profiles, but chemistry. And this is a brand new backline. We've never seen this before. In fact, we saw a brand new backline towards the end of RGV, which was interesting. So yeah, there's just a whole lot of moving parts in this side, and Dennis Kostishin's also back. So that shakes things up a little bit. I guess the coaching to snap us out of this funk, and it's next man up, I guess. So
Yeah, it's well, it is good to see. It is good to see Kostishin back in. I think we talked about the fact that, you know, sending a message like all good, that like you're not undroppable, all that sort of stuff. But
sure.
form suggests that we need Dennis to have an impact. And Dennis Petrovic, Gomez, and Solignac feels about as close to a first choice attacking, I guess, set as we can possibly get. Christian, who can't join us tonight, he's on daddy duty tonight. But he said last time we recruited a teenager from out of town, things worked out pretty well. I tend to agree.
Fair.
That man's playing his trade in MLS now, so we'll see what Lalito has to say. And I mean, obviously, what Eric says here, good to see Rose and Yuma fit enough to make the bench. That does feel like a step in the right direction, because it was kind of, we were kind of curious, I guess, like the extent of Rose's injury, and I mean to a certain extent, we were curious about the extent of Yuma's injury, because it was like, hey, here's it's minor or whatever, and he's been out for quite a while. So yeah, Rose and Yuma fit enough to make the bench, and that's obviously a step in the right direction for both players. But I mean, the fact that they've been, I would say, given the form, it suggests that the injuries probably aren't they're not fully over them. Like, yes, fit enough to make the bench, but if they could have been, you think both of these might have been included from the start, if Brian had the option.
Well, yeah, because both Liam and Yuma are tempo setters, right? They're not really impact players off the bench. They're ones you want from the beginning, kind of controlling matches on the ball. So yeah, I think if they were both fit, they both probably would start. Yuma, I mean, they said he'd be out a month, and he had arthroscopic surgery on his knee, so that's clearly not the case. And Eric, that's grim. I hope that's not the case. But yeah, Liam Rose obviously very important to this side, and so if he's not fit enough to start, then clearly I think is not starting. He was in training pictures, so I think we felt that he would continue on the trip at least. So,
and we've got more love for Lalito in the chat as well. Jessica Galvin coming in with the flames emojis for Lalito. Got a question here from BLT Gamers. Why the 4-2-3-1? And I mean, I think it's safe to say that shape wise, despite the fact that, I mean, you could probably have a debate about whether or not, and it looks like we may have lost Mika temporarily, but if you think about the shape, like I think it could tend to be 4-2-3-1, and maybe Gomez drops off a little, or Lucho drops off a little, but I tend to think of it as more 4-4-2, similar to what we've seen from Brian up to this point. So I don't think it's necessarily a 4-2-3-1. I do think it probably tends to be like closer to the same shape that we've come to expect from Brian, with Gomez and Lucho. One of them will be dropping off kind of at given times, and playing as a little bit of a central playmaker. So I mean, maybe it's a little bit of semantics, but yeah, I think it's probably a similar shape to what we've been seeing this season. And yeah, I think Ramos makes a good point here. Just absolute must win. Given the fact, I mean, we talked about the last game, at least privately. I don't know that we talked about it publicly as a must win. But privately we did talk about the fact that last week felt like a must win, and they lost. So, I think from here on out, you could pretty much say until they break this streak, every game is a must win because they just have to find a way to snap out of this funk.
Yeah, if you look at the table, we've tumbled down to 6th, and I mean, it's so hard to climb back up the rankings because everyone in the West is starting to catch fire a little bit and solidify their positions while we are. So, I mean, yeah, Ramos is absolutely right. It needs to be a win here. We need to get points on the board. I think I put out a shout that it would be a draw at best. I just don't feel particularly great about where the squad is right now. But yeah, it is a must win. Every game is a must win at this point.
And I mean, with the changes in the squad, to your point, like not feeling confident, it's one of those things where anytime that there's a shakeup in the roster, like there's that tendency for inconsistency or a lack of fluency because, you know, the team just hasn't played together that much. And I mean, Eric's point here with need a big night from Calvillo so too much pressure doesn't fall on Lalito. And I think Lalito is going to lean on his partner in midfield quite a bit in terms of being able to kind of manage the emotions of his first professional start, and the fact that he is, you know, the other guy in what is a pretty, we discussed on the last episode, like a pretty complex role that Calvillo and Rose fill in midfield. So Lalito like has to do some pretty quick figuring out, baptism by fire, I guess, in terms of figuring out Liam's role next to Eric.
It's not often in the professional game that you see a teenager start in a double pivot, right? Because that, like you said, that's such a huge burden as we see the lineup come up here right now. Yeah, I mean, it is really pertinent that Calvillo really wears that captain's armband, right? And I mean, I think Borelli probably will wear it, but Calvillo, I think, is in that leadership group, and so he needs to really take Lalito under his wing. But I do think on the road it is an opportunity for Lalito because maybe he doesn't have that like home crowd pressure on him, right? But and we're seeing Adrian Zendejas here, the Locomotive legend.
I know.
In goal for Miami tonight. So just narrative all over the place.
100% clean sheet percentage in Locomotive colors. So.
Okay, we kicked off. I feel like that was super sudden, but maybe
that was sudden. We have kicked off. We're going to have to get our stream synced up because I think you're just a couple of seconds ahead of me.
I'm at
10 right now.
Oh, I'm at 20. I'll pause.
Okay. And for everyone watching, this is going to be, I'll try to describe like where we're at in the game. I'm at 20 now.
Okay.
And Locomotive have an early throw in here.
And don't worry, chat, if you guys are ahead of us or behind us, like feel free to spoil stuff. We don't care.
Spoilers in the chat are fine. As a free kick goes against Locomotive. This is foul right here.
Go Messi. Yeah, you gotta get out of here with that.
I made the joke. I made the joke in the podcast about like how our Locomotive going to deal with Lionel Messi and
Sergio Busquets.
Yep.
And Edson Ascona.
Christian with the can't believe Zendejas only played 3 matches for us, and I would tend to agree.
It felt like a lifetime.
Miami getting into the area, and just a total mishit on the pullback there from Cabral.
I have to say, these Miami kids deserve more eyes on them. Like, it's really sad seeing the empty seats.
Right.
In the stadium.
I actually am a fan of these, the Macrons, and the
that's a huge let off.
Yeah.
Cabral just absolutely shanking that. He's so pissed at himself.
Big early let off. And the Miami map, the map of Miami on the sublimated on the kit, that's pretty cool. Another break here for Miami, and shot stings the hands of Benny Diaz, and let's just say not a good start from Locomotive, which is kind of opposite of how it's gone recently, where Locomotive have started well But they're early weathering some early pressure here in
This
the opening
shot
2
of
minutes.
Benny Diaz, by the way, tells you how hostile this is because it's been 2 minutes and he's dripping sweat.
He's absolutely drenched. Every Locomotive player experiencing humidity for the first time in many months, as they have an early corner
set
kick.
Piece defending is sus. So let's see how this goes.
Into the box, and I mean it's into that area, and the volley comes back in. Luckily, it was another misshit, but it looks like that's the scouting report, and it was Sorto on that audacious hit, which Sorto, one of the danger men for Miami, one of the big names.
Although they left Kyle Murphy on the bench, so that's a big weapon that Miami have on the bench as this game goes on. So
and he. I think he came off the bench against Loudon as well. So I'm a little interesting. I think maybe they might be a minutes management sort of situation. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. Locomotive finally getting on the ball a little bit, even though it's in their own half. But Petrovic has it around halfway out on the left wing, and you can see as Lolito gets his first real touches of the game, plays it back to Benny Diaz, but you can see how Locomotive are just trying to work out wide, and a nice little 1-2 here between Petrovic and Calvillo. Petrovic running into space, tries to get it back from Lucho. Locomotive able to retain it.
2 or 3 fouls there, but I guess maybe advantage was called.
Yeah, it looks like it. And it was actually Castician who came central. So a lot of interchanging here early for Locomotive as Gomez and Castician are interchanging. Navarro's pushed well up the field, played on a big switch out to Borelli, who finds Petrovic. Infield for Calvillo, out wide. And a cross thwacked into the box. I couldn't even come up with the right verb for how Navarro played that.
It looks like he outside booted
it.
That
was Trivella cross or whatever.
yeah.
But
that was some nice play though. That was a nice passage just to get on the ball, get a little bit more comfortable.
Exactly. Well, and it's what we talked about in midweek. We look at our best when we actually get the ball down and play. And
rather than just going long.
Yeah.
Which, going long has its
place. For sure.
Don't get me wrong. It absolutely does, even in a possession-based side. I mean, we've seen the best possession-based side in the world, Manchester City. They go long a lot.
100%.
They have a target man in Holland. So
you have to know when to change the tempo. As Lalito's long switch looking for Petrovic, able to be cut out there. I do like this. Is this AC Miami? They should have just leaned into it.
Like the Rio OKC.
Ball over the top looking for Gomez. Cut out. And Carrillo leaves it a little short. Sorto on the ball out on the right for Miami. Forced to play it back though. Decent pressure from Locomotive's press pushed him into
nice team defending right there.
Yeah. Just maintaining focus when you lose the ball. I don't know if it can really be that simple, but maintaining the intensity and the focus right when you lose the ball and not just kind of holding your hands up. Ball in towards the feet of Salazar, I think that is, who's running around, who had that early chance. He looks like he's shaping to shoot literally every time he touches the ball. I'm like, dude, you're 40 yards out.
They scored that. Was it Florian Velo or someone scored that one royalty, and they've been trying it ever since. First meeting between these two sides, so it's kind of hard to know how this will go.
Yeah.
Really.
Miami now playing some good stuff the other way, cross into the center, headed away well. I think that was Carrillo who won that in the air. Oof. Dangerous play.
His strength. So
dangerous play from Borelli in the box, but anywhere would do at that point, and then the foul comes in against Miami on Gomez.
They are just absolutely dying on that pitch, man. I can't.
They should have, like, I don't know. The fact that in Miami you would kick up when the sun is still up, it just feels like unnecessary.
Bit violent.
Yeah. Like, just go for the 8 p.m. Like,
Yeah.
no offense, but no one comes to these anyways. So, like, oh, ball over the top. Diaz caught out, and McHugh does enough, and almost a howler from Navarro there, but finds the ball out. Not out of the woods yet, though. Shot comes in deflected. Whew. Played ourselves into trouble a couple of times there, but
yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like at RGV, there's at least 3 or 4 goals that they score that they don't have to work very hard for. We are shooting ourselves in the foot, and that's 3 let-offs now I count for Locomotive. So,
and this one here is just, I mean, it's just a McHugh like does eventually kind of make amends, but it really is just about McHugh not tracking, like
not reading,
just letting the guy get behind him. Like,
yeah, he doesn't read the situation at all.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we've said maybe some fatigue is creeping into McHugh's game, but yeah, you got to read that situation a lot better. Now Miami,
and he even got subbed on last time, as Locomotive do go long and effectively chested down there by Gomez and then played out by Lucho. Looks like Kostishin on the ball.
Kind of on the break.
Kostishin goes for glory, which, to be honest, we talked about it. He hadn't shot at all the previous 2 games that he played in. So I'll take overconfident Dennis over shattered confidence Dennis.
He did put it between the width of the posts. That's good, but
just high, not high and wide.
Correct.
But first shot for Locomotive on the night, and decent in its construction. Like, I'm sure Lucho and Gomez will probably want an extra pass in there the next time around, but
for sure.
But I think a nice, a decent passage to play, breaking the press, all that sort of stuff, the stuff you want to see from Locomotive, especially on the road. But
so it's clear that when Miami get the ball into the wide area, that's when we press. But we allow them to have it within the width of the penalty area, it seems like.
Yeah.
At least early, because we know we can't do that the whole game. But
right. Locomotive back on the ball. And I mean, Miami are testing Locomotive's line as well by trying to play those long balls over the top. And they're trying to hit a point in between the back line and Benny Diaz, where Benny is baited to like coming out and playing sweeper, but our defenders can't quite get there. And it's like they're trying to find that sweet spot as now Benny and Calvillo and Lalito try to break the press themselves. Lalito's pass a little errant, but marshaled in the end by Carrillo. Oh, a dangerous pass by McHugh, cut out, and then Lalito having to do some defending, and actually does quite well to stop the shot, the chance there. Sorto comes in and sends it wide, but McHugh apologizing all around because that was a terrible pass that put Lalito under.
Let's watch. I thought there was
tons of pressure. I wanted them to show the entire sequence.
I wanted them to show the entire thing because Eric Calvillo has to do better there to show for the ball. I mean, he's just staring at Eric, trying to make a decision.
Long ball looking for Gomez. It's over his head, but Miami able to bring it down, and we're kind of in danger of doing that thing where we stop playing.
It's time we haven't scored yet, though.
Right.
Oh yeah, you can see that the midfield is just not settled. And of course, they don't know each other in that way on the pitch.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Lalito's acquitting himself well so far. It's just, I think Eric actually is more. He looks more uncomfortable actually.
Header forward looking for Gomez. Gomez looking for a foul that's not forthcoming. I think it was Segbers challenging there.
By the way, chat, what are we drinking?
Yeah, what's the...
I got the Canada Drizzy on deck. I had to do it to him.
I made myself a little cocktail. I went I'm experimenting a little bit. I made a daiquiri because it felt appropriately
Yum.
Miami.
Yum.
But I made it with a dark sugar syrup, like a Demerara,
okay,
and a dark rum instead of
Fun.
like a Blanco. So,
I do dark rum daiquiris all the time.
Oh, and Miami just scored. F in the chat for that's a really good finish is my initial reaction.
That's a good goal.
Obviously we were too busy describing what we were drinking, but to see how it came together, it's a long ball out wide. Sorto, Borelli's looking for offside. Sorto able to bring it down. It's a cutback. It's actually really similar to the first chance that Miami had, like in the opening minute or so.
That's insane. I mean, he uses the pace on the ball from Sorto's pass and just guides it in. That's really good interchange. Obviously, two players that have a really good understanding, Rivas and Sorto. And Borelli, you know, I've talked about this before, but I want someone to study like how much pace you lose running back when your hand is up in the air calling for offside. Because I think body mechanics wise, you probably do lose a step. And so Borelli doing that there is just not clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, put vodka in that Topo Chico like now.
Yeah. No foul forthcoming for Dennis, and yeah, Eric on Eric on Eric violence. No jogging back or jogging back, and yeah, just deciding to not mark
because Miami have had like four shots already. We've had one.
Yeah,
at least four.
And our one is from outside the area.
Yep.
Cross in for Lucho and does well to head it down, but Zendejas always had it covered. Yeah, this feels like you're trying to hack hangovers.
That liquid IV.
I can't say it's not worth a shot. But well, that's the last time. This is the last time I mentioned daiquiris on the show because clearly that was the code word for Miami scoring. I was almost about to say Carrillo going on a Bense adventure there, but eventually loses the ball. And this is kind of worst case for Locomotive in Miami taking the lead. Obviously conceding a goal is bad, but having to chase the game on the road, like Miami being able to kind of play within themselves now and all that stuff, like it just feels like a dangerous spot to be in, especially the way that Locomotive have looked when they push like deliberately, because how many goals have they conceded when they're like chasing a game?
Man, that's just really good football from Miami, to be honest.
Yeah,
that first time pass out to the wide area.
Yeah,
too easy. Like these are like training drills that people are scoring from on us.
Yeah. To take nothing away from the finish itself, because like you said, that's just like that is a classy finish from Rivas in the end. But
I love that he knows the pace on the ball is going to be enough. That's true understanding with your teammates, you know? Something that it seems like we don't have at the moment. Yeah, Zendejas is incredible. I wanted us to sign him. We know.
We had him on loan and he kept 3 clean sheets in 3 games. But no, it is one of those, because last year he spent the season on loan with, I want to say Charlotte,
yeah,
which I know he was at Charlotte FC in MLS, which is why they like sent him to Charlotte technically. But if I was Locomotive, I'd have been banging on Charlotte's door like, hey, we know the player, he settled well here even though he had a short tenure or whatever. Like, how he didn't go, like how a USL side didn't try to snap him up ahead of Charlotte in League One is just beyond me. But we're seeing Lucho occupy that midfield area a lot, which obviously he is busting a gut to get forward now with Navarro on the ball, but he's dropping awfully deep.
Just to get on the ball.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yes, that is the team we were referencing.
Yep, that one. I'll refrain from making any.
The Hutch era. The fact that that's a term of art in Locomotive fandom is bad. Like,
it's heritage now.
Lucha trying to close down Zendejas, who's been pretty clever with the ball. I don't remember that about him. I remember the shot stopping being incredible. I don't remember too much of the ball playing, but so far he's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, now Miami just content really right now to just keep the ball and not do too much. Conserve a little energy because they expended a lot of it in that first 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, playing really direct, pressing a lot. Clear that they weren't going to keep it up forever, but they did exactly like what they set out to do, which is score an early goal. So, and they could have scored a couple if we're completely fair. So, yeah, not...
I'm curious what the chat thinks the problems are, because we talk week in, week out about what we think, but I'm curious what y'all think are the issues right now and why Locomotive can't seem to win. Because we know that this team can win. We went on a big unbeaten streak just this season, right? So we know this is not a wash team. So what do we think are the issues?
Yeah, let's hear it.
What's the ref calling here? That was weird.
Thought he was going to call a drinks break.
Okay. That might actually be a thing.
Long ball looking for Gomez. And, I mean, it is wild how quick... Oh, and the foul there goes against Navarro. And I agree with Mark. I agree with Mark in...
That's just winning a duel. That's outrageous.
Eric says weak mentality and not being switched on for the full 90. And I mean, you can't, we've talked about the fact that like this team has, a lot of their form seems to be tied to their confidence and like how much they're feeling themselves. And I mean, it's safe to say right now they aren't just in general. Jake says it's Eastern Bloc and Scandinavians playing in 100-degree heat, which...
I mean, we do know that one Scandinavian at least has been unhappy. So...
Offside flag does go up this time against Salazar.
Not enough fireworks. No mames. Not the spin cycle.
The spin cycle.
Oh, man.
Tide Pod FC.
Lord, I see what you've done for others, and I want the same for me. Like, please.
Right.
Sorry if that just blew everyone's eardrums out hitting my mic. 20 minutes gone, and this is pretty dire, I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah, we, I don't know. I hate to be reductive, but it just seems like we, opening like 5 minutes, we were playing through the press and really trying to like create some good passing patterns. And then we just abandoned that and just went long ball. And every time, like like you said, there's a time and place to kind of switch up the tempo and go long. And now we're just going long always. And it's a little frustrating.
Yeah. This team is better than this. That's what's really
Yeah, and they're getting
upsetting.
played through. They're getting played through really easily too. Yeah, I think this is kind of the prevailing wisdom. It's like at some point, when do you just, I think even in that opening stretch, wasn't the prevailing wisdom from Brian basically like, hey, like I just want us to keep a clean sheet, like first and foremost, as foul goes against Gomez for being fouled, I'm pretty sure. So
wow, this referee is really interesting.
I mean, we haven't deserved anything, but this also yeah, I mean that's a clear foul.
Kicked.
That's a clear foul from
him?
Ofemu. So yeah, just one of those where it's like, yeah, we haven't been good, and like we've been getting kind of.
We haven't been good. Like, let us not be good. You don't have to like.
You don't have to add on.
We're perfectly fine capitulating on our own.
This is a good shout.
Production's not bad.
Yeah, this is a good shout for a team that like a lot of people, including myself, meme a lot because like no one watches them.
It's so unfortunate because I do want them to exist.
For sure. For sure.
Like continue to exist, obviously.
For sure. And you wouldn't, yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like you want there to be a healthy ecosystem, in the fact that like,
wow, this pass right now is just so disrespectful into Cabral. The fact that you can pass it up the gut against this Locomotive side is not good. Like this,
yeah,
our opponent is not taking us seriously, and it shows. Because that's a suicide pass any other day of the week.
Sorto in again here, just a simple 1-2. Petrovic was the furthest back too. I'm not sure where Borelli was.
Been a quiet start from fair.
Yeah. And another simple 1-2. Pinball in the box, and nearly another. I think it was Rivas again. And to answer this question, what if we buy this club? Ricardo Silva, who owns Miami FC, has more money than like God. So, yeah, I don't think there's a price that would pry this team. I think it's part of the reason they exist is because like he's just that.
He can just
like he could make a loss on Miami forever.
He takes these losses on his tax return for other businesses that are doing well. So
yeah, it's like on purpose.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
The less people that go to these games, the better for him, to be honest. No, that's not truly fair. But I know we're like ragging on them, but they're beating us, so I'm just bitter.
That's right. They do play at a stadium named after him. So what a flex.
Right? Make a big enough donation to Florida International University.
Money laundering.
Tide Pod FC doing the money laundering. Is that how money laundering works?
I wouldn't know.
Put them in a Samsung.
This ball out to Sorto is on every single time,
and they are exploiting it.
These first time crosses are shaped really well. Like how do they keep doing this?
Petrovic trying to get involved. We saw him involved like very early on as Lolito cuts that out, but plays it to no one in particular. We saw Petrovic like getting involved early on, and he just doesn't. He just hasn't in the last 15 actually probably 20. Like the opening 5 minutes, he had an impact.
Yeah. The last thing he did was give the ball away. So
yeah, he just can't get on the ball like consistently.
Jake
I mean,
is
none of our attackers
finally
can.
he's coming around to the joke you made earlier. Yes, that's why we're saying AC Miami.
Yep. Should have just leaned in.
Jake's like,
I don't know why. Like, I mean, obviously doing a rebrand on a club that's like 6 years old or 7 years old at this point, like, I get why that's like unsavory for a team, and like it would have been absolute box office if they just lean into if they just leaned into a rivalry with Inter.
That would have been funny. We're getting dominated. This is
this
sad.
Is looking not good. And I mean, it's worth mentioning the fact that like the last two teams, like we haven't looked good. We didn't look good for about 75 minutes against RGV, right? Like we haven't looked good in the opening half hour here. And those are two teams like that are not like these are not like form teams in USL. Like
here's this sequence just now is so problematic where people are pressing by themselves.
Yep.
That's just a waste of energy. Man, Brian Clarehout really has his work cut out for him in fixing these issues because they're high. We're doing like new mistakes every week.
Yep. It's funny. We talked early in the season about how Locomotive were just like finding new ways to adapt to every matchup, and now we're finding new ways to fail to adapt to every matchup.
Right.
Like it's truly remarkable. Like how prepared we used to seem week in and week out, and now it feels like we're absolutely unprepared every week. Like it's as if we've never seen these teams play. It's really wild.
That's grim. It's definitely grim.
But for those of you watching who may not know us as a podcast, find us on your favorite podcast player and stew with us together. Suffer as a group rather than alone. As this ball ricochets out to Gomez, and Gomez about sums up the night there where he just couldn't get that ball under control.
Half hour gone, Miami leading 1-0. Through, was it Rivas who scored?
Yes. Yep. Joaquin Rivas, the goal scorer. And yeah, half hour in, Locos, I mean, this is your chance to have your voices heard in the chat, but what I guess what needs to change? What's the shout that you're given from the sideline if you're Brian Clarehout? Because I know if this was a game of FM, I'd be on the chat's button demanding more. That would be assertively demanding more if I was on FM. Because yeah, this is just brutal. And I mean, I know the environment is probably is probably taking its toll, and we just look miles off the pace. Like it's not like we're a little short to this ball or that. It's just like we're not. If they don't want us to have it, we just don't get the ball.
We don't have a midfield. Like I'm sorry to Eric and Lalito, but we don't. And
another ball out to Sorto leads to a cross towards Rivas, which Navarro has to head behind for a corner. And yeah, I mean that expression from Brian kind of says it all. He's actually he doesn't look so hot actually.
He looks like he's ill, but he was talking to somebody, I think.
Okay. Yeah, he looked like really flush and he's talking to Ray, the analyst who takes the games in from higher up in the stands. But you can see from Brian's expression there, like says basically it all, is that like he's exasperated. The team is like clearly not living up to whatever the plan was.
Flat crossing.
Yeah. I think the scouting report is in on Locomotive of hit those like flat crosses towards the 6-yard box and just see what happens. And if you get ahead on it at the near post, all good. And if you don't, like maybe something will happen. And yeah, water break
So
now
it is a
for
water break. Yep. Waters for closers.
right. Even Brian partaking in the hydration break. But I am also going to participate in the hydration break with alcohol.
Yeah, cheers.
Because that is just
Look at Yuma playing coach on the sidelines. You love to see it.
Yep. The Richie Ryan role.
Cristiano at the Euros.
Yeah, it's yeah. So about 33 minutes in, Locomotive Trail Miami 1-0 at the water break. And I mean, this has got to be and Brian focusing a lot of his chat here during the water break on Eric Calvillo because because he's a leader in the side, but he's also like he's got to be part of marshaling this midfield and marshaling the team defending, and they're just not doing it.
I was gonna say these water breaks are a unique chance to like do some coaching that you normally wouldn't have. I know like Mikel Arteta is like famous for his hydration break chats and like us Arsenal turning it around whenever he would have them, but I mean, Jesus, I'd love to know what Brian's saying here because something has to change. And I in that little clip that we saw because I think Eric's been like off the pace more than usual.
Yeah. Christian admitting to falling asleep during games, so just turn on some Bluey.
Back underway.
Yep. The big switch out to Navarro. That was actually a really good ball from Benny Diaz, and I will acknowledge that. Gomez finds himself out wide. And yeah, just one of those things where like no, absolutely can't blame you. That was not meant as a dig, by the way. It is like just purely this team at the moment. But there's something about and a dangerous ball infield from Borelli. Calvillo doesn't get there.
Borelli's been so bad. And unfortunately when Borelli's bad, he's really bad.
Castician does the business to come back and win that ball back. And Locomotive building up a little head of steam here. Navarro trying to dink a cross in and luckily not dealt with convincingly by Miami.
Zendejas is upset. Thinks that should have been cleared out.
He should have just let it through probably. But a corner for and that was a Famu who opted to shank it. Well, I mean, obviously he wasn't trying to shank it, but he did shank it out for a corner. Castician over it. And a rare chance for Locomotive to do something offensively in this first half. Goes to the back post. Carrillo was in the area. Petrovic looked like he was trying to track that out, and then Eder Borelli has a dink from on the full volley from about 35 yards, and
that's stupid. I'm sorry.
I mean, if it goes in, it's town. But
that's so dumb.
The chances of that going in are probably less than 1%. So.
And in the form he's in, like, give me a break.
Well, and it's so funny. Like, second phase of set pieces Carrillo just getting absolutely bullied there, and Diaz just about deals with it. He was right on the edge of his area, and the ref didn't flinch because I do think an arm was used in blocking that, but
it looked like chest, but I don't know.
Oh, it could have been chest, and Lucho I think fouled there. Referee waves play on.
Nothing.
Dude,
This referee is
crazy.
absolutely insane. I mean, I know we're bad, but again, let us be bad on our own. Don't make
Right.
it worse.
Like, we can't win a foul, like, at all. We just can't win a foul. Them playing mid-game ads is wild.
Yeah.
Like, that's really crazy. That's one of the things about
My God, why is everyone just jogging? We're
yeah,
gassed.
this
We
is
look
brutal.
awful. Sorto's been outstanding.
Yeah, Sorto's been really good, and Rivas. I mean, Rivas at this point, it's like, why not? He's feeling himself. From Daniel, is there any rivalry between Miami and Inter Miami? No. I mean, to be honest, the only way
closed systems and they don't play each other.
Yeah. The only way that any sort of anything develops between them is if next year they play in the Open Cup and Miami wins. Like, if Miami FC beats Inter Miami, then
that
maybe.
Would be so foul if Messi like plays against like Florida Soccer Soldiers or something. Like that would just be so.
I would
like that would be a lot.
I would love that.
Would they love that? Is the question.
Right. Ball into the center. Diaz, probably an argument that Diaz should catch that. Inter Fort Lauderdale. I mean, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale is like 30 minutes north of Miami.
Yeah. Well, and they had to use the vacant stadium of the unjustly dead Fort Lauderdale Strikers, who, like the Tampa Bay Rowdies, are a very iconic, club in U.S. soccer, stretching back to the old NASL days. And it's a damn shame that they're not still around. McHugh just about doing enough, but a third corner in a row now for Miami. Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Well, and it's crazy because basically the decision that got made was Fort Lauderdale Strikers decided to stick in the NASL and try to make it work. And then that league died because Rocco Camiso has too big of an ego and wanted his lawsuit with MLS and was like, if I don't get to have the Cosmos, then no one gets to play.
Now he's got Fiorentina.
Yeah. The sad part is that he has Fiorentina like actually doing something, which like which just sucks when you're like the Cosmos haven't played in like 5 years or something like that.
Right.
Anyways, but yeah, if Fort Lauderdale had made the decision then to move to USL, there could actually be a pretty healthy rivalry in South Florida between Fort Lauderdale Strikers and Miami FC in the USL, which would be pretty cool. But alas, Miami FC have another corner. I think this is 5 in this sequence now, so that's just where we're at.
Benny Diaz and the referee really talking in deep conversation. I mean, I don't blame Benny for being upset. This guy is not protecting both sides equally.
Yeah. Benny if this ref knew what Benny was up against in his personal life, he would not take this tack.
If you followed him,
if you follow Benny on Twitter, you know.
Or on X,
on X,
whatever.
Pinball in the box again, and
is that not out for a goal kick?
It looks like he's giving it for another corner.
It's just gonna be Miami corners until we die.
Play till Miami scores. Oh, and it did. It bounced off a Locomotive. It deflected off a Locomotive player and onto the post. So Sorto having a dink because why not? Yeah, this has been rough. This is like, I mean, we've had some pretty rough halves, but we just haven't competed. And now he's making Benny retake the goal kick.
Cheeks.
Who makes a keeper retake a goal kick?
Oh, Daniel Rodriguez. I think he doesn't know this isn't MLS, which I don't blame him for being confused.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, this is USL, so one step down.
It's the American second
division.
So
yeah, not connected to MLS, like two separate leagues. Whoa.
Wow. What are we doing here?
Yuma on for Carrillo. I'm like a little confused by that because
Borelli couldn't take the captain's armband off fast enough. Oh
Carrillo's
my god.
Been fine? Question mark. Like I am actually confused.
I don't think he's been like shocking or anything.
I'm kind of confused by that.
I think our midfield and Borelli have been shocking. Wow, Spanish on Spanish violence. Oh, okay. That was gonna be my other shout. Yeah.
I mean, it has to be. Like, you're 2 minutes from halftime.
Yeah. Which is so Locomotive. Our new signing getting hurt.
Well, we said, another player with a little bit of an injury history that we've taken a chance on, so. I don't even know what to say anymore. This is brutal. Like,
every time we get on live, it's just like ass.
It's funny, the last time we had, like, I think the last one of these that we actually did was Colorado Springs. Because we had a long stretch of games at home, and then a lot of us were like traveling through the summer, so it was like we didn't get as many watch parties done. But Colorado Springs was actually good, where we actually fought and came back and won a game.
Yuma looking spry on the new knee.
Yeah,
I have to say it's been weird without him, so it's nice to see him back on the football.
Exactly.
Yeah, if there's anyone who's going to be saying it's not good enough, it's Yuma.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, maybe a little tactic here too from Claerhout for someone on the pitch to.
My God, is it just me or does it already look better?
It kind of does
with Yuma on. Like, he looks like he gives a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep giving it to him, which is funny.
Lalito trying to turn in midfield, but yeah, it does actually look better. But then Navarro hits the big switch. TM.
Why are we looking better when we're about to go to locker room? Y'all, we irritating.
Yuma is like unironically linking things better, but Borelli misplaces a pass, and now a yellow card for Eric Calvillo in nobody. Just in it was Gomez. It was Gomez. Sorry, the area of the pitch where it was, I thought it was Eric, but there's kind of nothing. There's nothing in that. Oh yeah, it's a late dig.
Oh,
yeah,
it's late.
I'll buy the yellow on there. This is a cursed ass comment.
Ooh.
That's so cursed.
It's giving 4chan.
No shot. Yuma gives away a penalty.
Is that also like Yuma? Ooh, that looks like a penalty. I
mean, I think he's given it. You wouldn't know it from anything that's being done on the broadcast, but
is he giving it? Oh, we didn't see it. Let's see. Here's a replay.
Yeah, I don't think he gets the ball.
Never.
Man.
Ball's gone.
Yeah. Penalty for Miami.
That sucks, man, because Yuma was playing really well. But that's also like classic Yuma, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, he just goes to ground. Like, that guy's not doing anything.
No, that's not an
He's going
area of
away
the
from
pitch.
goal. Like, he's going towards the byline, which obviously you want to stop the cross, but there's no reason to dive in there. And Rivas to take the pen for Miami. And
trying to get his brace.
yeah, it will be a yellow for Brian Clearhout, looks like, as well.
Oh my goodness, this referee is a joke.
I mean, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at Brian for. Oh, did he just, or is he just headed to the locker room? Did he get sent off, or is he headed to the locker room?
He didn't get sent off. I think he's just had it with this shit.
I think he's just headed to the locker room for halftime, like
Yeah.
just ahead of the penalty, because he knows this is the last kick of the half, basically. But he did continue to give it to the referee like after the yellow. So I mean, if he's given him a second yellow, I wouldn't even be shocked. But there's been nothing to indicate that, aside from the fact that Clearhout is walking down the tunnel. But Rivas to take. Benny gets a hand to it, but can't keep it out, and Rivas has a brace, and Miami have a 2-0 lead headed into halftime. And it is looking like a steep hill for El Paso Locomotive on the road in Miami. Just brutal stuff, Mika, and Yuma coming on to play the role of leader, but concedes a penalty, unfortunately, and at probably the worst possible time.
Yeah, really unfortunate. It seems like every time we try to do something with the ball, we end up making a mistake and then paying for it. And that's the thing too with this run, is that a lot of times you'll make mistakes and you won't get put to the sword, but it seems like every mistake we make is resulting in a goal. And so that's really tough to sit with. But I think Eric pointed out in the chat, 10 goals in our last 3 games conceded. Yeah. That's not playoff stuff, right? I mean,
no.
My God.
No, absolutely.
What do you say? What do you say to this dressing room at halftime? Like, what do you say? Is it about tactics? Do we even look at the whiteboard, or are we just saying like this isn't good enough?
I mean, I don't know. I just think like I don't know that there's a change. I like looking at the bench. I don't know that there's a change that we make that like fundamentally changes what's going on. Because tactically we're gonna play the exact same shape always. Petrovic, Lucho and Gomez actually get in each other's way, unfortunately.
Lalito, I think, has been good on the ball. Fair. Off the ball, it's a little more suspect, but
Borelli again just plays it into touch, and that'll be the half. Fair play to the ref for actually giving, and Pitar just like letting it roll out as well. Fair play to the ref for actually playing like the correct amount of stoppage time, given the penalty, like given that the penalty happened in stoppage time, because he easily could have blown the whistle the second Locomotive kicked off, and he let him play for another minute and a half. Yeah, Brian Clearhout, it does seem like he saw red. Like, it does seem like he got a second yellow. Which, I mean, in fairness to him, if I were in that stadium right now, I wouldn't want to be either. So, unfortunately for him, it's his job.
Yeah, but that's the thing. What message are you transmitting when you lose your rag like that? Yeah. You know? I mean, I think it's a double-edged sword. Like, I think on one side it's like passion, and on the other it's like kind of a joke.
I think he's trying to spark something by doing that. I also think he's trying to put it in the referee's head that he's calling a very unbalanced game, which is fair enough.
Which is true, to be
Yeah.
fair.
But that being said, like I totally get where you're coming from in that, like, it's like, hey, it's a 90-minute game and we got to fight for the whole 90. And not just lose the plot, like,
I mean,
1-0 down,
cliche,
conceding a penalty.
like if they can score that many, then so can we in the next half.
Yeah.
Like, it's not impossible.
Yeah. I mean, I think this from Eric is kind of where his mind is at, is like, there just isn't enough fight right now.
And I think Yuma's showing that, but his passion also lets us down a lot. I mean, that's a stonewall penalty, right? I mean, I don't think there's any. I think argument.
I think it's definitely a pen, and unfortunately, it's couldn't have timed it worse. Couldn't have, yeah. It wasn't specifically to, like, the guy's not bearing down on goal or anything like that. Like, he might have shot from a narrow angle, but you'd back Benny to cover it if it's that tight. Or he puts a cross in, but you try to block the cross, standing. Plus, Yuma is, like, the other aspect of that penalty being conceded is Yuma is going the wrong way. Like, when his first step is the opposite direction. So when, I don't know who from Miami actually earned the penalty, but, like, when he got on the ball, he has a step on Yuma already. Yuma's trying to recover, and because of that, like, dives in. When he would have been better off, like, just trying to cover the ground while the player slows naturally to play across or play or take a shot. Like, either way, he's going to have to slow down a half a step, and you try to make it up, in that time enough to get a block in. But yeah, it's man, absolutely brutal stuff from Locomotive in this first half as we headed to halftime. I mean, Mika, hard to even find the words to describe, like, that performance when you don't. I mean, how do you even like you said, like, what do you say about that performance to try to turn it around? Because it was just bad all the way around.
I think I'm kind of going with what Eric Bauer was saying in the chat. Have some pride, like, have some professional pride. I mean, it's borderline unprofessional the way we've conducted ourselves the past couple games.
Yeah.
Borderline, I say. Yeah. Be one thing if we were fighting and losing, right? If we could see the fine margins and just not get over the line, but we're just absolutely giving these games away. And that's just not good enough. Like, we've been saying this over and over, and I'm sorry that, I'm sure people that are in the chat are also podcast listeners, which obviously we love y'all for that, and I'm sure I'm sounding like a broken record, but what more can you say? It's not. And we're accustomed to better football as well. So, it's ugly. It's really ugly right now. And I don't know. I mean, we said this weeks ago too, like, this will be a big test for Brian, is can he find solutions? Because it's all good when you're winning, and scoring goals and people are in form, but he tried to find a solution with the starting 11. So that has not been like a salve necessarily. So if you speak, you are not in big trouble. This is a safe space.
This is a totally safe space. No, in in other circles there is, if I speak, I'm in big trouble. But for Herbie, I mean, so what did you miss? You missed in the first half, like, early doors Locomotive, looking like, hey, maybe they'll get down and with this lineup play a little bit of football. They abandoned that in the first 5 minutes, and Miami pressed really well and played some easy, good but effective football in that they found Eder Borelli to be kind of a weak link in Locomotive's defense. So they were finding an out ball to Christian Sorto just easily, just playing it repeatedly. And the cutback was on time and time again. And it worked the one time through Joaquin Rivas, who finished really well with his left foot into the top corner first time. And then the second, it was a long time coming, although Miami, I mean, basically played us off the park, to be honest, from about the 15th minute on. We just weren't getting anywhere near the ball. And then Yuma conceded a penalty 3 minutes after he came on, which is a shame because he actually looked like he was getting some life back into Locomotive when he came on for what we think is the injured Jose Carrillo. So that is what you missed so far. Oh, and it looks like Brian Clarehout got a red. We're not exactly sure, though, because the red was never indicated on the broadcast. We didn't see video of the ref giving a red. People on Twitter are saying that there was a red, as Eric said. They're saying Brian got a red, but all that was shown on the broadcast was a yellow card. And then he started to head down the tunnel, but there was no indication on the broadcast that he got a red card.
Right. I think he had just had enough.
Yeah, it looked like he was, I mean, similar to, whatever I think Klopp does it. There's probably a few managers that do it where they like get down the tunnel as soon as they can, basically to get to halftime. And since they were taking the penalty, he was like, screw it. I'm just heading in. But Mark here with the Dennis walking with his head down in the middle of the match is heartbreaking. It's like they don't know what to do. It's just no leadership. Grateful for Yuma to come back, so I hope it comes back. But right now, it's just not good. James, haven't seen you all in a while. That is right. It's been a long summer, a lot of travel, a lot of conflicts, unfortunately. So we've been on the podcast, like we've been doing the podcast still, but first time getting back to the watch parties. So glad to see you back in the chat here, though. So thanks for joining. And James adding, this team has gone on vacation and has no desire to get a win. Very disappointed in them. I mean, Mika, we talked about at the time, this team literally went on vacation when they had that little like break, and a lot of players went to Cancun. They have not returned from that vacation.
No, they've not. Oh my goodness, they've not. Yeah, we thought that would be like a nice reprieve, but yeah, they look hungover from that still. So are we saying that the stats, like USL stats, are showing a double yellow, or?
So I'm trying to see. What is? I don't think FOTMob's even saying anything.
By the way, Phil, do you have a way to like share this for Twitter, like our stream?
Oh shoot. Yes.
Because I did like a link and I don't think it was very good.
I think so. Because I don't want to invite. Can y'all share it? Let me see. Why? Oh, no, because the one link is like if you bring people in to this stream. Can I guess we could share. Hold on. I'm going to figure this out. So I can get the Twitch link and share that. Here we go. Let me do that. I think that'll work. So I'll please hold while we tweet out our our broadcast.
So sounds like the chat's saying double yellow.
Yeah.
That keyboard ASMR.
Sorry.
No, I love it.
Yeah. Let's see. Eric, if we give yellows and reds in our group chat all the time for out of pocket comments, so
all the time.
So if you want to get a red card, you could, but I don't want to ban you from the chat. So, oh, and it's USL Championship website has the double yellow on there now. So, James adding, James will be in Phoenix for the away day, so it's always a good one as well. The new Phoenix, first time in the new Phoenix Stadium for Locomotive.
Oh, that's right.
Never saw the second yellow, but did catch the official pointing in the direction of home. Yeah, I think it is his plan to fire up the team. I also do think that he was genuinely disappointed in the standard of the officiating, but the problem with that is the fact that like there was absolutely nothing wrong with the penalty decision. It was just everything up until that point was not good. Christian, our co-host, calling for it. It's time to pull the plug. He said it's time to call it a season. He said 4 weeks ago, I said it wasn't time to sound the alarms, but that time has come. It's time to pull the plug.
Pull the plug on what exactly?
Oh, just like, I'm assuming he means like just start building for next year, like not caring about results now, just start getting the roster ready for next year.
I don't know. That seems a little fatalistic, but to each his own.
I mean, the sad part, and this is, I say a sad part, but this is really now the hope for Locomotive. Well, not the hope, but this is like for Locomotive a chance, I guess, is the fact that like at the end of the day, a majority of teams in this league make the playoffs.
That's true.
So the reality is like this Locomotive team has been awful for, well, okay, I won't say they've been awful for a long time, but they've been really bad recently, and they are on a long winless streak. And the reality is that they will probably still make the playoffs. Now, if they miss the playoffs in a league where basically everybody makes the playoffs, then that is going to be like something else entirely. But yeah, at the end of the day, a lot of people. Christian just saying, I know this is hyperbolic, but I just can't imagine this team winning a match anymore.
As we are half is underway
in the second half.
If you're still here, you're a sicko.
Yeah, USL sickos only in this chat. And we've gone up in viewers. So
James
you
with the
know El Paso.
positivity. I like it.
Yep. Yep. This train needs something. I'm not displaying Mr. Eon's comment, but but you're right. You're right
though. Snuff. The hope for the second half, at least, is I know that Fuego stream is an all-timer. That's an all-timer. Like if you were there, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know, yeah.
I think the hope for this second half is that Miami get tired, to be honest, and then we start to take advantage because we didn't work that hard in the first half. Let's be honest.
Liam Rose on, it looks like.
Indeed.
No indication of that by the broadcast, just to be clear.
No.
So yeah, Lalito off, and which again, I think Lalito is sacrificed for Rose because of circumstance, not because Lalito did anything like particularly wrong.
Yeah. Man, Lucho's first touch sometimes just kills me.
Yeah. Well, because again, we know how good it is. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Liam foul goes against him, and I will say, like, if nothing else, there is a little bit of fight. So
wait, what was my comment that your wife pointed at you? I'm curious. Oh, sicko. But your wife married the sicko, so yeah. Just saying.
So who's the real sicko? And now Navarro's going to get a
hell,
card for a high boot.
Really high.
Yeah, that was reckless.
He hadn't been carded before, right?
No.
Okay. Jesus, that was a bad challenge. If we miss the playoffs, do y'all think Andrew Forrest gets the axe?
No.
No, because he makes the club money.
I mean, the reality is, like, here's the thing. I'm going to say something controversial because this is live and I don't think they're watching, but I'm going to say something controversial, which is Forrest is in the best position at the club, which is he's not technically in charge of roster decisions. He's in charge of the business side, right? Like we have the manager set up as the technical director. So he can say things like when we're winning, and then when the decisions need to get made about like who's responsible for this, it will never be him. Like he's positioned himself. Well, I'll say he's positioned himself, but Mountain Star has positioned themselves to where the manager is the single point of blame. Like
they just hold the purse truly. I mean, they're not making the selections. Okay, that you broke your elbow.
All-time Vine. Love it. McHugh booked for this challenge just outside the box. Again, guy going nowhere. I think that is a harsh yellow, but I think there's also frustration. I don't want to even say creeping in. There is just like frustration in Locomotive's game right now where they're kind of going into every challenge, and the ref is just going to prey on that. Let's be honest.
All of our tall boys at the far post. Something off the training ground.
And might actually lead to a counterattack if Gomez can get this right. He's got Navarro to his left, I think. And Costichin trying to dink a ball in towards Lucho now, who made a late run. And it was Navarro who was on the edge of the box.
Not a demolitions expert. This man's trained on ordnance. Like, yeah, that Marcelo break, that leg break is awful. Like, I saw it once and that was enough for a lifetime.
So I'll say this, just for the record, and I'm going to go over the top because I want everyone to know how serious I am. I have actively avoided this video.
Wow, he was so serious he logged off.
Sorry, I have no idea what happened. I deleted myself.
Rip.
But I want everyone to know how serious I am. That like I've actively avoided this video, and if anyone sends it to me, I will block you. Like I'm not saying like if anyone sends it to me, I will absolutely block you. We will not talk anymore. Like and don't try to test that theory because I will 100% block you. This is not a joke. This is not a test. We are at 51 like 25.
Yeah. 51, 26, 27, 28.
And yeah, we are going to be a little bit behind just by the nature of like you guys are watching the live stream as we're watching it, but you're watching our live stream, which is going to be naturally delayed going out to you because we're watching a stream of the stream. Anyways,
Yeah.
You get it.
Anyway, it's not like there's much football going on.
I know we're just talking about whatever.
Yeah, so it looks like John Burklow is in the technical area. Brian Clarehout saw red ultimately.
Yep.
John's gone full dad with this outfit, though. I don't think he expected to be in the technical area, to be fair.
Christian switched to Bluey.
Is that a kid's show?
Yeah, it's that little dog. Which hey, Christian, isn't Bluey Australian? So how Hutch triggered are you when you watch Bluey?
Grill master confirmed. King of the Hill type
That's
shit.
so good. Grill master.
One thing I know about John, though, is he's a huge Feyenoord fan. He's got a Feyenoord phone case. Like, was telling me about his trips to the Kuip.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And, I mean, what a season for the Feyenoord faithful.
Indeed.
The ref's given a foul for El Paso Locomotive, folks.
Oh
this
God.
is halcyon days. Castician wins a free kick off Akinyode.
Not a bad position.
No, I mean, good to whip it in. We'll see what happens.
I think you have to go far post on Zendejas if you want a chance.
Yeah, I think you just have to drill this across the 6-yard box and hope somebody gets a touch. No, we should know better. Dennis is going to shoot. That's terrible.
Dog. I'm done. Like, I'm actually kind of done.
In what world are you shooting from that? Like, I mean, you can go far post and just hope that nobody touches, like hope nobody touches it and it just finds its way in or whatever. You can absolutely go far post. Who are you scoring on near post from that area? Like, that's crazy. That is an insane decision to make.
Yeah, that is so bad. Like, if you're gonna do that, you have to get it on target. Like,
Akinyode should be careful. Like, how that's not a yellow, I'm not really sure.
And
did he get booked for the other one? Because he was handing out yellows to Locomotive for fun.
No, I don't think he did.
And Akinyode with two.
Telling him like that's multiple.
Yeah, with two quick fouls. Like, yeah, I don't know how he's escaped being booked. That's crazy.
No, they're holding hands. What is happening?
That is wild. They're literally making a line. Like, they're literally making their
hands.
defensive line by holding hands. I've never seen that before.
We need to screenshot that.
That's crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah, USL Tactics needs
Another
to
free
meme that
kick.
immediately. John, if you're listening.
Or Sickos, whoever that is.
Castishan. Okay, so
we need a new free kick taker, don't we?
So
it did look like a paper chain. Yeah.
Let me get this straight. When he absolutely should whip it to the far post, he takes a shot to the near post. When he does play it to the far post, nobody is making a run. Like, everybody's making a run to the near post.
Just zero game sense.
I don't even blame that second one necessarily on Dennis as much as, like, how did the group of them not come to the decision of, like, what area am I putting this into? Like, you've got to have that simple kind of, like, communication of, hey, I'm going far post, I'm going near post, I'm like, or I know where the guys are making the runs. I don't know if it was a timing thing, but it's like, man, that's 2 free kick opportunities in quick succession that just look horrible. Yeah. And we do nothing from.
Off a ref who's giving us nothing.
Gomez working hard to earn that free kick. Although to be fair, Paco Craig, like, just shoving him until the foul gets given. Man, we're entering just like the goofy part of the stream now, where
everyone's had it with this shit.
Jake just going ham. Daily. Lucho trying to work something from this free kick.
Corner.
Sure. We're at such a low point that I absolutely thought Eder was shaping to shoot. To his credit, he was playing across, which just, I think it struck Akinyode, but some soft appeals for handball, but he also is wearing that protective face mask, so if he got hit in the face, that's unfortunate.
That mask always makes dudes look like intimidating as fuck.
Right? Victor Osimhen just eating folks up
with the mask. Yeah.
With the mask in Serie A. And I love how it became iconic that he takes it off when he celebrates.
Yeah.
Like, that became like part of it.
Harry Kane had a spell with a mask where he was also
he did.
Demon.
Yeah. So. It's almost like I don't know if you remember this era, but Luis Suarez and Jamie Vardy hand wraps.
Yep.
Like, they just leveled up when they had their hand
wrap.
Yeah,
Benzema wrapped his hand because he broke his finger, but once it healed, he just liked the comfort of it.
Yeah, he just kept doing it.
And just kept wearing it. Yeah.
Miami playing through us for the first time in a while. You may able to cut it out, but not totally out. I think Segber's on the ball now. Laid off for Akinyode, who, I mean, you would kind of think that Oh yeah, are you caught up on Ted Lasso yet, Mika?
Not yet. I will, I promise.
Yeah.
I need to.
There is a good mask storyline in there, but not goal scoring related, so a little different, but the I hesitate to say that Locomotive have been better, but that's like not really
The bar is
saying a
in
whole lot.
hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like making passes. That's nice.
That is a nice ball from Castilla. A nice weighted pass for and Lucho gets the finish all wrong.
Oh man, it sat up on him and he caught it with his instep. Then it just flies over the bar. He knows it too.
That was such a good ball in from Navarro too, and a really good sequence from the Locomotive. Like the ball out from Castilla to Navarro was good. The ball in from Navarro had like that right weight on it. I think Lucho probably needs to take a touch there. Hindsight being 2020. I get with a guy on you like that, taking it first time and not letting the chance pass. I think if he takes a touch, he probably puts it away. But his first touch has also been kind of off today, so maybe he was trying to trust his instincts.
Yeah, no, I love the ball from Mark too, to just bend it around the defense.
He doesn't lever it. He like plays it. He like, you can see he intentionally like takes something off it because he knows Lucho's got to step on the defender. And I think a foul given against Liam.
Hour gone, still down 2-0, but maybe building something here. John Burklow with the
the question mark is to start a conversation. Hashtag clear out or
clear in.
Oh yeah.
Wow. A Miami player got a yellow card.
Oh my God.
And he seems like he's incensed about it. Like, dude, you guys have gotten all the calls. That is pretty soft. That's kind of funny. What is wrong with this referee?
Like, for all the things they could have gotten. Let us know in the chat whether you're Claire Hout or Claire Hin.
I'm like very thinly Claire Hin.
I'm still Claire Hin. I'm still Claire Hin, but yeah, the margin is narrowing, I think we can say at this point.
Corner for Locomotive. Who's taking this? Is this Petrovic?
Does look like it.
Uwu is Claire Hin. Okay.
Calvillo takes it first time. Kind of bounces out to Petrovic. Now they keep hold of it, but it does look like Locomotive are going to hold on to possession. Humana Calvillo. Navarro playing a little narrow, little inversion going on here.
Yeah, augmenting that midfield because we've not had a midfield tonight, to be fair.
Yeah.
And then Liam is kind of taking up a center back position.
Yeah. But running into midfield now. Castician back infield for Calvillo. Over the top looking for Lucho. Nice touch to bring it down. He knew what he wanted to do, but he couldn't get it onto his right foot in the way that he wanted to play that ball across to Gomez, who had made a
that was a nice
run
ball
to that
by
far
Eric,
post.
By the way, I've been ragging on Calvillo tonight, but that was a nice ball.
Yeah. Lucho now playing playmaker out wide to Petrovic. We do like this when Pitar gets on the ball and able to take people on. Castician. You knew there was only one outcome. Either he was getting dispossessed or he was shooting. If he enters the 18-yard box, there is absolutely no denying.
Right. This is better.
This is much better.
This is better. I think Miami are tiring a little bit.
Yeah.
And they did just get their first yellow card, so
having to be a little more careful now that the referee is actually paying attention to what they're doing on the field. Right. Rose finds Gomez. Navarro, good header down from Dennis, but couldn't generate enough power on it.
Not the greatest trial list. That is foul. Like, foul on the play.
Even this referee's given a yellow for this. This is reckless. Reckless play. It's not endangering an opponent, but it is reckless.
You have to be in control of your limbs.
Yeah.
Hands inside the ride at all times.
That's one where if I speak, I'm in big trouble.
That's another if you know, you know.
That's if you know, you know. Yeah. The OG Locomotive fans. Those red cards you were talking about earlier, Phil. Time to produce one. So we've got conflicting opinions in the chat.
I have to a red card. my coaster.
I've got a red pen. That's about as good as I can do.
I got some Seriously Loco stickers.
Yo. Should we give some of those away?
We definitely should. I also still have the Yuma shirt that Patrick Gabaldon gifted us. I need to give that out too at some point. Lift some spirits.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a couple of changes. It looks like Josue Aron Gomez is coming off for Ricardo Zacarias. Just a little more energy in attack, maybe some legs, and then Nick Hines on for Eder Borelli, which I'll be honest, overdue,
yeah.
Should have happened at halftime, to be honest. Should have happened when we brought off Carrillo, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hines on and adds a little more attacking verve to that left-hand side for Locomotive as they are still chasing a 2-goal deficit, but signs of life at least make it. It's like,
yeah, no, there. I said at halftime, be professional. This looks professional, to be fair.
Yeah, it's like
they don't look.
We were ready to break out. We were ready to break out the AED at halftime, and then we have found a pulse. Like,
yes,
we have found a pulse. Shallow breathing, but we have found a pulse.
No, there's a good touch from Lucho.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit more.
Fuck you.
That's messed up. We actually had players moving around in the box to create space. I know. Can you believe it? McHugh getting a little too adventurous there, and at a time when we I don't know, we had a lot of the ball, and I just don't know if there was any pressure to try to make that run happen. More apologies from McHugh. Not been his best night.
Looks like he's kind of hobbling a little bit.
Yeah, he is hobbling a little. It's one of those tough things where it's like, as I said, and that ball's going to stay with Miami because it's hit the ref. Just adding to the nonsense tonight. But it's one of those things where Locomotive do they've shown the life. They seem like they have it within them to at least get a goal back. And that being said, it's balanced on a knife edge because in all this pushing and all this looking like they've got something about them, it definitely does not matter if a third Miami goal goes in.
Truly.
Navarro and Benny able to combine to get that clear, but only as far as Akinyode, who, for the fact that he should have 2 yellows, is if I were a betting man, I would absolutely lump on Akinyode to score, because that is how soccer works, folks.
Yeah.
If a player should not be on the field, they absolutely will score a goal. That is just how it works. Not trying to will that into existence. I'm just saying, I just know the rules. I don't make them, unfortunately.
Miami getting on the ball a little bit more here. 20 minutes to go. Still down 2-0. Brutal. And
all that energy the team had a few minutes ago seems to have evaporated, as luckily we've got Edabarelli's counterpart out there on the left taking another ambitious shot. And yeah. Well, in Locomotive positive Schadenfreude news, you might be happy to know that Hartford Athletic have taken the lead against New Mexico.
In New Mexico, right?
No, they are
Hartford?
in Hartford, yeah.
Oh.
But still.
That's hilarious.
Hartford.
What about Indy Memphis? Is that kicked off yet?
Yeah. So quick scoreboard update. Indy 11 and Memphis are tied 1-1 in Indy. Aiden Quinn equalizing after Lucas Turchi opened the scoring for Memphis, and then Pittsburgh Riverhounds holding on to a 1-0 lead in Pittsburgh on Tampa Bay. Albert Dequa scored in the 3rd minute, and they're just clinging. Locomotive back on the ball. Locomotive absolutely need to target this left side for Miami, because Aiden Stanley looks absolutely just out of it out there.
Yeah, he does.
Just flailing at the ball, taking wild shots. As we said, little bit of Adair's game from tonight rubbing off on his left back counterpart. So, but yeah, luckily for Locomotive, they do have two of their better technical players out on that right hand side for us against Aiden in Mark Navarro and Dennis Costician. So,
oh my goodness, we're
maybe
almost
they
talking
can make
about
something
Leicester happen. Playing tomorrow, and I'm like, wait, what? Oh, because they're in the championship. Eek. I forgot about that.
Norwich, Stoke, and Watford all won today in the championship, which is just like, I can't believe it's 2012 already. They're all ready for the come up again. Like, I thought we'd seen the last of these teams. And Watford sold Ismail Assar to Marseille, and
oh, did they?
And came out and absolutely swatted. Who did they play? QPR 4-0.
Jesus.
Yeah. Stoke won 4-1 against Rotherham. Stoke playing good football too, which is just weird. You know, things are going well in Locomotive land when we're talking English Championship and not USL Championship. But anyways.
Thanks for giving us the ball back, though.
Yeah. This is nasty work from the cameraman.
This is really out of bounds.
This is nasty work from the cameraman.
That's really doing a lot.
That's crazy.
Those were like wags, probably.
They had, I mean, right? Like,
because they're not there for the football, are they?
I mean, cameraman shooting his shot.
He's like, no one's watching this anyway.
If I was a commentator, my mic would be cut immediately, and I'd be talking to my producer, like, don't ever do that to me again. Like, if you're expecting me to comment on this, don't, like, there's no good way for a man to comment on that shot. Like, you just have to keep silent. That's ridiculous. I've never seen work like that in the USL Championship. Only in Miami.
There's been some things that I won't unsee from this game.
Original XFL.
Hola.
Moving on to a late second half. Man, that glare is really a lot. This is a Gallivanter Session IPA from Twin Oast Brewing on Catawba Island, which is an island in Lake Erie,
There's a
here in
brewery on that
Ohio. And
island?
yeah, and there's a brewery. It's actually really cool. They have like a ton of like, they have these big like grounds that they like grow like some of the plants that they use in brewing the beers on. And
Nice.
so yeah, focus on like sustainability and that sort of stuff. And yeah, definitely a nice locale to go take in a couple of beers. It's about like 35 or 40 minutes from Toledo, like proper. So nice little drive. And then yeah, it's a little bridge across.
Ooh, a little Meg by Lucho. I don't think he meant it.
No, and then Dispossessed by Akinyote, I think. Then on to Salazar. And this is where Locomotive have been vulnerable in the past. Cuts inside McHugh, and the crossbar spares Locomotive. I thought that was head and top bins. Jake opting for harder solutions to his problems.
This is a really nice shot. I thought it was arcing in.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I mean, the camera's right behind it. It's one of those where it's just like you really think it's headed for the top corner. And the last hydration break.
Imagine the shower after this game. Like, just glorious.
I thought you meant like imagine like the sheer smell of the locker room.
Oh, that would be bad. But yeah, I
horrifying.
Meant like the relief. Like,
yeah,
you know, when you've been out somewhere all day.
Oh, for sure. No, it still reminds me like playing sports growing up. That was like, oh man, especially like since I was a primarily baseball guy, like playing a lot of, obviously not from an exertion standpoint compared to soccer,
just from being
but
in the sun,
just being in the heat, yeah, all day. And you know, when you're playing youth baseball, you're playing like, they are absolutely wringing you dry of all like capacity to play baseball. Like double headers were not enough in some cases. Like we would play tournaments that were like 3-4 games in a day. So anyways, yeah, when you got to the shower after that, it was just like, oh man, feel like a new human emerging.
There's a new human emerging right now. Miles Lyons coming on for Mark Navarro.
Miles Lyons coming on. There is a new human emerging. What a segue.
Way to say that.
What a segue. Yeah, I agree with Mark here. I think you have to kind of know what Salazar is trying to do there. And I think the stark reality is McHugh is tired. And isn't thinking like,
okay, Ecuador,
clearly enough.
See, now this is cool to show. Don't just show like girls out of context.
Exactly. Exactly. Show the Ecuadorians, and some love for Mika's segue, which yeah, I mean, it's par for the course given her track record on the podcast. So
my Sagu.
Oh, like the short free kicks. I don't know. I would say it's really common now for free kicks to be, or for goal kicks to be taken short. I think he's given it the right way in the end, but yeah, we're getting back to pretty grim stuff here from Locomotive. There was a brief about 10 minutes where it looked likely that they might actually do something, and that's all but evaporated in the Miami Heat. Although evaporated is probably not the right word, as
it's
Diaz,
offside.
It is offside. And
Frodo really tried it.
He did look like Elijah Wood. That's wild. That's really crazy. But yeah, I would say the short goal kicks are like kind of par for the course now in like kind of everywhere. I don't know why I'm still running this Claire Howard or Claire Hin thing. That banner's been going for like 20 minutes.
That's really cursed. 10 minutes of regulation time to go. Are we ever going to score a goal again? Like
from open play?
And I say that knowing we scored 2 last time, but it still just feels like trash.
Yeah. Well, it was a penalty and then one open play goal, which to be fair was like one of the best goals we scored this season from a team perspective. But I remember when we were talking about goals like that kind of week in and week out as
how does Sorto have all this energy? He needs
seriously, man's been running like crazy. Somebody piss test this guy.
It needs to be randomly tested.
Yeah. No, he's definitely doing some sort of blood doping. I never knew like I knew about blood doping, never knew how people mechanically did it. And then I encountered a like medication that we apply in dialysis for kidney failure patients. That is often used in blood doping because it tells the body, like it basically is an artificial enzyme that the kidneys produce typically that tells your body to produce more red blood cells. And so when a healthy person takes it, it enriches their blood like with more red blood cells.
So they can exert themselves more.
The positive of it is, yeah, your blood is naturally carrying more oxygen, so your muscles, like you can have like more endurance because your O2 capacity in your bloodstream is like more than what it typically is, and you become super high risk for developing like random blood clots that can kill you. Because
this is what the stream has come to.
Because you're not supposed to have that many red blood cells. So anyways, like when guys blood dope, that's what they're talking about. And that drug costs like 10 grand, like in administration.
Damn.
Like a bottle, I think like a bottle of that, so maybe a couple of doses would be like $10,000 as Castician takes a shot right down Zendejas's throat. And I mean, it's looking increasingly unlikely that Locomotive are actually going to get anything out of this, let alone that. It looks increasingly unlikely that they'll score. And I mean, Mika, as we wind things down, just keeping it Locomotive focused. Tough performance. And I mean, the reality of it is that like there's no world in which this team should only be showing about 10 minutes of quality, kind of regardless of the situation.
Yeah, it's just poor. I don't even know. It's almost boring, honestly, how bad it is.
Yeah. And yeah, Jake, this is right. Oh, well, I mean, we joked about sickos earlier, but the chief sickos are seated here on the stream before you. So yeah, we are. If anyone is a sicko, it's us. As now Benny is trying to play keep away in the box, which leads to a corner, I think. Jen in the chat too saying 10 minutes is given too much credit, which yeah, I tend to agree. And really wild if you're a Miami FC fan to see Claudio Repetto and Kyle Murphy coming on in garbage time, not needing anything. Two of the, I mean, Repetto is like probably one of Miami's best ever players. Like going back to the old days, and Kyle Murphy was their like record signing from Memphis, or not record signing, their I guess biggest coup, in that they attracted him from Memphis when Memphis had tried to re-sign him. So and then Memphis replaced him with Goodrum, and then Memphis dealt Goodrum. What a weird train we've been on. Bravo's loan bomb. I don't know why they didn't send us the Sonora Bros instead of releasing them. That is a fair question. Even from a marketing standpoint, like, it just feels dumb that Mountain Star had their contracts and didn't just loan them to Locomotive.
One wonders if they were too expensive.
Yeah, I wonder what the terms were that they were on, especially for being like youth prospects. It's kind of surprising. It's surprising that they were released in general, like, to be honest. But
right,
just because I don't know, from my perspective, and maybe this is wrong, but it didn't seem like Bravos did all that much to like hype up the fact that they had signed them. It felt like people in El Paso, like, media talked about it, but no one else really cared. Now Yuma arguing over what I thought again was a pretty clear foul, but I mean, you know, I think he leaves his foot in, but Yuma also leaves his foot out, so is what it is. Yeah, the team just looks so unmotivated. No pride at all in this team right now. It's just, man, it is bad watching. It's not a lot to redeem this performance.
No. I mean, it just sucks that, like, Yuma makes his long-awaited return and concedes a penalty, like, from a slide tackle that he should never do.
Yeah.
Just classic.
And I mean, I guess the brutal thing is that apart from like the one Lucho half volley, like, we haven't really created a chance of note.
Wow,
that was really
Nick
quality
does
from
really
Nick Hines.
well there. Yeah, after screaming at everyone for not helping him.
Yeah. Just, he'll like, okay, I'll do it myself and play a pass that splits the entire team. And Miles Lyons getting forward, but cross into no one. It's a good cross. No one's making a run.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as soon as Nick Hines makes that pass, it's like Miles Lyons is busting his ass to get forward, and nobody else is. Like, no one else is getting forward.
Corner.
But a corner kick, and one that Miami probably shouldn't have conceded, but chance for something. Far post, and Petrovic went for the Olympico. Some people claiming that Zendejas got a touch to that, but ref happy to give the goal kick. So yeah, it's just absolutely. I mean, there's not much. I joked on the podcast that it's like, we're Akon now, but trying to find the words to describe this team without being disrespectful, and that's just, I mean, it's just the way it is right now.
Sometimes I wish I could be disrespectful, but it's probably for the best that I can't.
I mean, the thing is, and like, I know that people won't know this, like, if they happen upon negative comments or negative tweets or something like that, people with no context, or in particular, like, people too close to the situation, like, won't understand the fact that, like, the reason that this is so rough for the fans, and like, and I'm talking specifically about like the diehards that are like in this chat or listening to the podcast or like at every game, all that sort of stuff. The reason it's so disappointing is because we know what the team is capable of.
Right.
And that's why it's like, we don't want to dig people out. And at the same time, like, this absolutely is not acceptable given the level that this team can hit.
Right. And it's like, sometimes you just have to call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
It's not personal.
And it's like, yes, I know that they're also not happy, Castician shot deflected, goes behind for a corner. I know that they're not happy as professionals with this run, and like that doesn't excuse them from for being criticized for it. Like that's just because they're also upset doesn't remove the responsibility for it to get better.
Right. It doesn't make it better. Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, now we're all upset. Good.
Right. Well, and it doesn't remove us being able, like we can still criticize, like just because you're also mad, doesn't remove the fact that we can be critical of as fans, like, oh, and that's a embarrassing third to give up.
No way. Benny Diaz, what are you doing, dude?
Oh, that's brutal.
Is that him? Is that Akinyode? Was it him?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll go down as a Nick Hines own goal, but
no, that's not on Nick.
It wasn't.
That's not on Nick. That's on the goalkeeper. What's he doing? Oh,
but I think it'll go down as a Nick Hines own goal, unfortunately.
Is it deflected that badly?
I would say. Well, I guess we'll see.
Let's see.
And no, it was Segber's.
Okay.
I think it's a cross. So yeah, I think it's a.
But Benny's positioning is not good, right? Or
no, it's insane.
That's not. Bro.
I mean, he's kind of playing to. I think he's playing to defend the cross,
but too early.
Yeah.
Which we know that he sometimes does, where he'll like cheat a bit.
He got caught cheating. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude.
I was gonna make a really out of pocket joke.
Oh my god, I kind of know what you were gonna say.
I'm not gonna say it, but if you
I know you.
Damn.
Oh man. We're just coping. We're not happy about any of this, you guys. Just to be clear, we're just
cups of the rose, like.
Is that a mistake by Benny Diaz, or is that just poor team defending? What do we think? I think it's a big mistake.
I think Harry's helping with Cope as well.
Appreciate
that New Mexico is losing.
Which player's girlfriend called us fair weather fans? I bet I know, but might as well just say it.
Yeah. They're not here. They're getting targeted by Miami's cameramen right now.
Yeah, I think it was Eric Calvillo's girlfriend, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, that's obviously not true. And close to the situation because a person that she loves plays for the team. So I could see it's hard when someone you are very close to, people are criticizing, but that's part of being a professional athlete. And I think seriously, Loco, we know intimately well how badly some of these folks have overreacted to things we've said. So, but yeah,
you'd be surprised who ends up in our DMs sometimes.
You guys would, crazy.
Oh, we're about to concede a fourth. What a goal!
What a goal,
man. Yeah, I think this is the right reaction. I mean, it's just playground stuff out there that's easy for them, and it hurts for me personally that it's Cabral who scores because he was like of the League One players, especially when we were potentially getting Ian Cameron. Is that him from North Georgia Tormenta or South Georgia Tormenta, I should say?
Yeah.
Cabral was one of his like key pieces in the side that won League One last year, and Miami obviously saw the potential, and he gets a goal for Miami to make it 4-0, to make it emphatic. Second time. That brings us to, let's see.
Thank God that's over. Dear God.
Third game in a row that Locomotive have conceded 3 or more. Third loss in a row. Fourth loss in 5. Winless in 8. there's really no other way to put it than I mean, not good enough. And that is becoming an all too familiar refrain for El Paso. We said not a good home team, but you know, we're playing well on the road, and now we're not doing either. So yeah, eight winless. As I said, 3 losses in 5, and 3 out of the last 4. Absolutely brutal run of form, and it's not just July now as the streak continues into August. And in fact, if I'm remembering correctly, yeah, the winless streak stretches back to June 17th. Locomotive's
so it's been all summer.
Locomotive's last win came June 14th against Vegas, which feels like it. Not them replaying this. They can't show this shot of the crowd again.
Wow.
The producer's wild for that. Anyways,
wild behavior.
Yeah. Slam Ball is on ESPN Plus. That is definitely the choice.
Well, guys, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. I wish that these streams were more like positive. I mean, they are because we get to hang out and talk. But I feel like the good performances are rare on these streams, and they're definitely been rare for Locomotive, as Phil just told us. We've not won all summer, essentially. So maybe Jake has a point. Like, we've just not been good at all this summer.
Yeah.
About the adaptation to the weather. I don't know.
No, it's been absolutely terrible for a number of reasons.
But
absolutely awful.
We have like OnlyFans in the chat or something. That's a wild.
I'm trying to deal with this.
Why you gotta kick us when we're down?
Why are my mod abilities not more powerful? Why can't I?
We gotta log off, y'all. It's giving time to give it up. Give it up, Pookie.
Whoa! Why can't I deal with this? What's happening? We gotta call it, folks. I have to do some admin on the back end. The fact I have to display this part, though. I have to say, why? The fact he says please, like, that's insane. Anyways, well, for those, that's what I said. What a way to end. I definitely need to have a word with StreamYard about the mod tools, because this is the fact I can't delete that comment from here is insane.
In your noise? Hashtag brand new sentence.
I can't deal with this. Okay, we're gonna call it there. There's no, if you haven't followed the podcast, whatever. If you haven't followed at Seriously Loco, Instagram, Twitter, or X or whatever, and then you can follow us here. This is wild. I can't believe this is continuing, and I am powerless to stop it. So anyways, have a good night. Condolences to the Locomotive fans out there, and we will see you guys. Well, we'll record an episode probably early this next week, and we'll go from there. But no, rough night for the Locomotive fans, and thanks, Mika, for joining me, and thanks to everyone in the chat for hanging out.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Even
But we
Eli.
don't love you that much. I
See
would
you
do anything for
guys.
love, but I won't do that later.